The Hebrew Bible, the 5 books of Moses. Exodus, chapter 23. You shall not bear a false rumor. You shall not put your hand with the guilty to be a harmful witness. You shall not follow the many for evil, and you shall not bear witness in a dispute to go askew, to skew it in support of the many. Nor a poor man shall you favor in his dispute. Should you encounter your enemy's ox or his donkey straying, you must surely return it to him. Should you see your adversary's donkey sprawling under its load, and would hold back from assisting him, you shall surely assist him. You shall not skew the case of your indigent in his dispute. From a lying word, stay far away, and the guiltiness and innocent do not kill. For I will not acquit the guilty. No bribe shall you take, for a bribe blinds the sighted and perverts the words of the innocent. No sojourner shall you oppress, for you know the sojourner's heart, since you were sojourners in the land of Egypt. In 6 years you shall sow your land and gather its produce, but in the 7th you shall let it go and let it lie fallow. And your people's indigent may eat of it. And what is left, the best, the beast of the field will eat. Do shall you do for your vineyard and your olive grove. 6 days shall you do your deeds, and on the 7th day you shall cease, so that your ox and your donkey may rest, and your bondman and the sojourner catch their breath. And in all that I have said to you, you shall watch yourselves. And the name of the other gods you shall not invoke, nor shall it be heard on your lips. 3 times in the year shall you hold me a festival, the festival of flat bread. You shall keep 7 days. You shall eat flat bread as I have charged you at the fixed time of the month on the new grain. For in it you came out of Egypt, and they shall not appear in my presence empty-handed. And the festival of the harvest, first fruits of your labor that you sow in the field, and the festival of ingathering as the year goes out, when you gather in your labor from the field. 3 times in the year all your males shall appear in the presence of the Master the Lord. You shall not offer up the blood of my sacrifice with leavened stuff, nor shall the fat of my festival offering be left till the morning. The best of the first fruit of your soil you shall bring to the house of the Lord your God. You shall not boil a kid in its mother's milk. Look, I am about to send a messenger before you to guard you on the way and to bring you to the place that I made ready. Watch yourself with him and heed his voice. Do not defy him, for he will not pardon your trespass, for my name is within him. But if you truly heed his voice and do all that I speak, I shall be an enemy to your enemies and a foe to your foes. For my messenger will go before you and will bring you to the Amorite and the Hittite and the Perizzite and the Canaanite, the Hivite and the Jebusite, and I shall obliterate them. You shall not bow to their gods, and you shall not worship them, and you shall not do as they do, but you shall utterly tear them down, and you shall utterly smash their pillars, and you shall worship the Lord your God, and he will bless your bread and your water. And I shall take away sickness from your midst. There shall be no woman miscarrying or barren in your land. The count of your days I will fill. My terror I shall send before you, and I shall panic the whole people among whom you will come, and I shall make all your enemies turn tail to you. And I shall send the hornet before you, and it will drive out the Hivite and the Canaanite and the Hittite before you. I shall not drive them out before you in 1 year, lest the land become desolate and the beasts of the field multiply against you. Little by little shall I drive them out before you, until you are fruitful and inherit the land. And I shall fix its borders from the Red Sea to the Sea of the Philistines, and from the wilderness to the Euphrates. For I shall give into your hand the inhabitants of the land, and you will drive them out before you. You shall not make a pact with them or with their gods. They shall not dwell in your land, lest they cause you to offend me. For should you worship their gods, it will be a snare for you. Chapter 24. And to Moses he had said, Go up to the Lord, you and Aaron, Nadab and Abihu, and 70 of the elders of Israel. And you shall bow down from afar. And Moses alone shall come near to the Lord, but they shall not come near. And the people shall not go up with him. And Moses came and recounted to the people all the Lord's words and all the laws. And the people answered with a single voice and said, all the words that the Lord has spoken we will do. And Moses wrote down all the Lord's words. And he rose early in the morning and built an altar at the foot of the mountain with 12 pillars for the 12 tribes of Israel. And he sent the lands of the Israelites, and they offered burnt offerings and sacrifices and communion sacrifices, bulls to the Lord. And Moses took half the blood and put it in basins, and half the blood he threw upon the altar. And he took the book of the covenant and read it in the hearing of the people, and they said, all the Lord has spoken we will do, and we will heed. And Moses took the blood and threw it upon the people, and he said, look, the blood on the covenant of the covenant that the Lord had sealed with you over all these words. And Moses went up, and with him Aaron, Nadab and Abihu, and 70 of the elders of Israel, and they saw the God of Israel. And beneath his feet was like a fashioning of the sapphire pavement, and like the very heavens of pureness. But against the elect of the Israelites he did not send forth his hand. And they beheld God, and ate and drank. And the Lord said to Moses, go up to me to the mountain, and be there, that I may give you the stone tablets and the teaching and the commandments that I have written to instruct them. And Moses arose, and Joshua his attendant with him. And Moses went up the mountain of God, and to the elders he had said, sit here for us until we return to you. And look, Aaron and Hur are with you. Whosoever has matters to air may approach them. And Moses went up, and the cloud covered the mountain. And the Lord's glory abode on Mount Sinai, and the cloud covered it 6 days. And on the 7th day he called out to Moses from the midst of the cloud. And the sight of the Lord's glory was like consuming fire at the mountaintop before the eyes of the Israelites. And Moses entered within the cloud and went up the mountain. And Moses was on the mountain 40 days and 40 nights. Chapter 25. And the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, speak to the Israelites, that they take me a donation from every man. As his heart may urge him, you shall take my donation. And this is the donation that you shall take from them: gold and silver and bronze and indigo and purple and crimson and linen and goat hair and reddened ram skins and arcadite skins and acacia wood, oil for the lamp, spices for the anointing oil and for the aromatic incense, carnelian stones and stones for setting in the ephod and in the breastplate. And they shall make me a tabernacle, that I may abide in their midst. As all that I show you, the form of the tabernacle and the form of all its furnishings, those shall you make it. And they shall make an ark of acacia wood, 2.5 cubits its length, and 1.5 cubits its width, and 1.5 cubits its height. And you shall overlay it with pure gold. Inside and outside you shall overlay it, and you shall make upon it a golden molding all around. And you shall cast for it 4 golden rings, and set them on its 4 feet, and 2 rings on its one side, and 2 rings on the other side. And you shall make poles of acacia wood, and overlay them with gold. And you shall bring the poles through the rings on the side of the ark, to carry the ark with them. In the rings of the ark poles must be, they shall not come out. And you shall set in the ark the tablets of the covenant that I shall give you. And you shall make a cover of pure gold, 2.5 cubits its length, and 1.5 cubits its width. And you shall make 2 cherubim of gold, hammered work. You shall make them at the 2 edges of the cover, and make 1 cherub at one edge, and 1 cherub at the other edge. From the cover you shall make the cherubim at both its edges. And the cherubim shall spread wings above, shielding the cover with their wings, and their faces toward each other. Toward the cover the faces of the cherubim shall be. And you shall set the covering upon the ark from above. And in the ark you shall set the tablets of the covenant that I shall give you. And I shall meet with you there, and speak with you from above the covering, between the two cherubim that are on top of the ark of the covenant. All that I shall charge you regarding the Israelites, and you shall make a table of acacia wood, and 2 cubits its length, and a cubit its width, and a cubit and a half its height. And you shall overlay it with pure gold, and make for it a gold molding all around. And you shall make a frame for it, and a hand's breadth all around, and you shall make a golden molding for its frame all around. And you shall make a frame for it, a hand's breadth all around, and you shall make a golden molding for its frame all around. And you shall make 4 gold rings for it, and set the rings at the 4 corners, which are at its 4 legs. Facing the frame, the rings shall be as housings for the poles to carry the table. And you shall make the poles of acacia wood, and overlay them with gold. And the table shall be carried with them. And you shall make its bowls, and its shovels, and its jars, and its chalices, from which libation is done. Pure gold you shall make them. And you shall set on the table the bread of the presence before me perpetually. And you shall make a lamp stand of pure gold, hammered work it shall be made. Its base and its shaft, its cups, its calyxes, and its blossoms shall be from that work. And 6 shafts going out from its sides, 3 shafts of the lampstand from it one side, and 3 shafts on the lampstand from its other side. 3 cups shaped like almond blossoms in the one shaft, calyx and blossom, and 3 cups shaped like almond blossom in the other shaft, calyx and blossom. Those for the 6 shafts that go out from the lampstand, and on the lampstand 4 cups shaped like almond blossoms, their calyxes and their blossoms. And a calyx as part of it under every 2 shafts. A calyx as part of it under every 2 shafts. For the 6 shafts coming out from the lampstand, their calyxes and their shafts shall be part of it all, and its lamps shall be mounted and give light in front of it. And its tongs and its fire pans, pure gold. With a talent of pure gold shall it be made, together with all these furnishings. And see and make it by their pattern, which you are shown on the mountain. Chapter 26. In the tabernacle you shall make with them with 10 panels of twisted linen, and indigo and purple and crimson, with cherubim designer's work you shall make them. The length of the panel is 28 cubits, and a width of 4 cubits to the one panel, a single measure for all the panels. 5 of the panels shall you be joined to each other, and the other 5 joined to each other. And you shall make indigo loops along the edge of the outermost panel in the set, and those shall you do on the edge of the outermost panel in the other set. 50 loops you shall make in the one panel, and 50 loops you shall make in the outermost panel which is in the other set, the loops opposite one another. And you shall make 50 golden clasps, and you shall join the panels to one another with the clasps, that the tabernacle be one whole. And you shall make goat hair panels for a tent over the tabernacle. 11 panels you shall make them. The length of the one panel 30 cubits, and width of 4 cubits to the panel, a single measure for the 11 panels. And you shall join 5 of the panels by themselves, and 6 of the panels by themselves, and you shall double over the 6th panel at the front of the tent. And you shall make 50 loops along the edge of the outermost panel in the one set, and 50 loops along the edge of the outermost panel in the other set. And you shall make 50 bronze clasps, and bring the clasps through the loops, and you shall join the tent, that it become one whole. And the overhang left over in the tent panels, half of the leftover panel you shall let hang over the back of the tabernacle, and the cubit on one side and the cubit on the other side. In what is left over, the length of the tent panels shall hang over both sides of the tabernacle to cover it. And you shall make a covering for the tent of reddened and ram skins, and a covering of ochre dyed skins above. And you shall make board for the tabernacle of acacia wood upright, 10 cubits the length of the board, and a cubit and a half the width of the single board. 2 tenons for the one board linked to each other. Those you shall do for all the boards of the tabernacle. And you shall make the boards for the tabernacle 20 boards for the southern end. And 40 silver sockets you shall make beneath the 20 boards, the sockets beneath the one board for its 2 tenons, and the 2 sockets beneath the other board for its 2 tenons, and on the other side of the tabernacle at the northern end 20 boards and their 50 silver sockets, 2 sockets beneath the one board and 2 sockets beneath the other board. And at the rear of the tabernacle to the west you shall make 6 boards, and 2 boards you shall make for the corners of the tabernacle at the rear, and they shall match below, and together they shall end at the top inside the one ring. Those it shall be for the 2 of them. At the 2 corners they shall be, and there shall be 8 boards with their silver sockets, 16 sockets, 2 sockets beneath the one board, and 2 sockets beneath the next board. And you shall make crossboards of acacia wood, 5 for the boards of the one side of the tabernacle, and 5 crossboards for the boards of the other side of the tabernacle, and 5 crossboards for the side of the tabernacle at the rear to the west, and the central crossbar and the middle board shall shoot through from end to end. And the boards you shall overlay with gold, and their rings you shall make of gold, housings for the crossbars, and you shall overlay the crossbars with gold. And you shall set up the tabernacle according to the fashion of it that you were shown on the mountain. And you shall make a curtain of indigo and purple and crimson and twisted linen. Designer's work it shall be made with cherubim. And you shall set it on the 4 acacia posts overlaid with gold, their hooks gold upon 4 silver sockets. And you shall set the curtain under the clasps, and you shall bring there within the curtain the ark of the covenant. And the curtain shall divide for you between the holy and the holy of holies. And you shall set the cover over the ark of the covenant in the holy of holies. And you shall put the table outside the curtain, and the lamp stand facing the table on the side of the tabernacle to the south, and the table you shall set on the northern side. And you shall make a screen for the entrance of the tent, indigo, purple and crimson and twisted linen, embroiderer's work. And you shall make for the screen 5 acacia posts, and you shall overlay them with gold, their hooks gold, and you shall cast for them 5 bronze sockets. Chapter 27. And you shall make the altar of acacia wood 5 cubits in length and 5 cubits in width. The altar shall be square, and 3 cubits its height. And you shall make its horns on its 4 corners. From the same piece its horns shall be, and you shall overlay it with bronze. And you shall make its pails for its ashes, and its shovels, and its basins, and its flesh hooks, and its fire pans. All its vessels you shall make of bronze. And you shall make for it a meshwork grating of bronze, and you shall make on the mesh 4 bronze rings at its 4 corners. And you shall set it beneath the ledge of the altar from below, and the mesh shall come halfway up the altar. And you shall make poles for the altar, poles of acacia wood, and overlay them with bronze, and its poles shall be brought through the rings, and the poles shall be on 2 sides of the altar when it's carried. Hollow boarded you shall make it, as he showed you on the mountain, those they shall do. And you shall make the tabernacle court on the southern side. There shall be hangings for the court of twisted linen, 100 cubits in length for one side, and its posts shall be 20, and their sockets 20 of bronze. The hooks for the posts and their bands shall be of silver, and those for the northern side in length. The hangings shall be 100 cubits, and its posts 20, and their sockets 20 of bronze, and the hooks for the posts of silver. And the width of the court on the western side 50 cubits of hangings. Their posts shall be 10, and their sockets 10. And the width of the court on the side to the very east 50 cubits, and 15 cubits of hangings for the flank. Their posts there 3, and their sockets 3, and for the other flank 15 cubits of hangings, their posts 3, and their sockets 3. For the gate of the court a screen of 20 cubits, indigo and purple and crimson and twisted linen, embroiderer's work, their posts 4 and their sockets 4. All the posts around the court shall be banded in silver, their hooks silver, and their sockets bronze. The length of the court 100 cubits, and the width 50 throughout, and the height 5 cubits, twisted linen, and their sockets bronze. So for all the vessels of the tabernacle and all its service, and all its pegs, and all the pegs of the court shall be bronze. As for you, you shall command the Israelites that they make you clear oil of beaten olives for the light, to kindle a lamp perpetually in the tent of meeting outside the curtain which is over the ark of the covenant. Aaron with his sons shall lay it out from evening to morning before the Lord, an everlasting statute for your generations, incumbent on the Israelites. Chapter 28. And you bring you forward Aaron your brother and his sons with him from the midst of the Israelites to be priests to me, Aaron, Nadab, and Abihu, Eleazar, and Ithamar, the sons of Aaron. And you shall make sacred garments for Aaron your brother for glory and for splendor. And you speak to every wise-hearted person whom I have filled with a spirit of wisdom, that they make Aaron's garments to consecrate him, to be priests to me. And these are the garments that they shall make: breastplate, and ephod, and robe, and checkwork, tunic, turban, and sash. And they shall make sacred garments for Aaron your brother, and for his sons to make him a priest to me. And they shall take the gold, and the indigo, and the purple, and the crimson, and the linen. And they shall make the ephod gold, indigo, and purple, crimson, and twisted linen, designer's wood. 2 joining shoulder pieces it shall have at its 2 edges and attached, and the fastening band that it is on it shall be for the same fashioning, 1 piece with it, gold, indigo, purple, and crimson, and twisted linen. And you shall take the 2 cornelian stones and engrave on them the names of Israel's sons, 6 of their names on 1 stone, and the 6 remaining names on the other stone, in the order of their birth. Lapidary work, seal engravings, you shall engrave on the 2 stones the names of Israel's sons, encased in filigree of gold you shall make them. And you shall set the 2 stones on the shoulder pieces of the ephod as remembrance stones for Israel's sons, and Aaron shall carry their names before the Lord on his 2 shoulders as a remembrance. And you shall make a filigree of gold, and 2 chains of pure gold intertwined. You shall make them in cord work, and you shall set the corded chains of the filigree. And you shall make a breastplate of judgment, designer's work. Like the work of the ephod, you shall make it. Gold, indigo, and purple, and crimson, and twisted linen, you shall make it. It shall be square and doubled, a hand span its length, and a hand span its width. And you shall set it on a stone, and set 4 rows of stone, a row of ruby, topaz, and malachite, the first row. In the second row, turquoise, sapphire, and amethyst. In the third row, jacinth, agate, and crystal. In the fourth row, beryl, and carnelian, and jasper, framed in gold in their settings. And the stones shall be according to the names of Israel's sons, 12 according to their names, seal engravings, each with its name for the 12 tribes. And you shall make on the breastplate intertwined cordwork, chains of pure gold, and you shall make on the breastplate 2 golden rings. And you shall set the 2 rings on the 2 edges of the breastplate, and you shall set the 2 golden cords on the 2 rings at the edges of the breastplate. And the 2 ends of the cords you shall set in the 2 frames, and put on the shoulder pieces of the ephod at the front. And you shall make 2 golden rings, and put them on the 2 edges of the breastplate at its border, which faces the ephod on the inside. And you shall make 2 golden rings, and set them on the 2 shoulder pieces of the ephod in the front, opposite its seam above the band of the ephod. And they shall fasten the breastplate from its rings to the rings of the ephod with an indigo strand to be upon the band of the ephod, that the breastplate not slip from the ephod. And Aaron shall carry the names of Israel's sons in the breastplate of judgment over his heart when he comes into the sanctum as a remembrance before the Lord perpetually. And you shall place in the breastplate of judgment, the Urim and the Thummim, that they be over Aaron's heart when he comes before the Lord, and Aaron shall carry the judgment for the Israelites over his heart before the Lord perpetually. And you shall make the robe for the ephod pure indigo, and the opening for the head shall be in the middle of it. Its opening shall have a woven work border all around, like the opening of a coat of mail it must not tear. And you shall make on its hem pomegranates of indigo and purple and crimson on its hem all around, and golden bells within them all around. A golden bell and a pomegranate, a golden bell and a pomegranate on the hem of the robe all around. And it shall be upon Aaron when he serves, so that its sound be hard when he comes into the sanctum before the Lord, and when he goes out, that he shall not die. And you shall make a diadem of pure gold, and engrave upon it with seal engravings, holy to the Lord. And you shall put it on an indigo strand, that it be on the turban. At the front of the turban it shall be. And it shall be on Aaron's forehead, that Aaron may be clear of any guilt from the holy things that the Israelites consecrate, from all their holy gifts. And it shall be on its forehead perpetually for their acceptance before the Lord. And you shall weave the tunic, checkwork, linen, and you shall make linen turban, and a sash you shall make of embroiderer's work. And for Aaron's sons you shall make tunics, and you shall make sashes for them, and headgear you shall make them for glory and for splendor. And you shall dress them, Aaron your brother and his sons with him, and you shall anoint them, and you shall install them and consecrate them, that they serve me as priests, and make them linen breeches to cover their naked flesh, from the hips to the thighs they shall be. And they shall be upon Aaron and upon his sons when they come into the tent of meeting, or when they approach the altar to serve in the sanctum, that they do not bear guilt and die. And perpetual statute for him and for his seed after him. Chapter 29. And this is the thing that you shall do for them to consecrate them to be priests to me. Take 1 bull of the herd and 2 unblemished rams, and flat bread and flat cakes mixed with oil, and flat cake wafers brushed with oil. Fine wheat flour you shall make them, and you shall place them in 1 basket, and bring them forward in the basket with the bull and with the 2 rams. And Aaron and his sons you shall bring forward at the entrance to the tent of meeting, and you shall bathe them in water. And you shall take the garments and dress Aaron in the tunic and the robe of the ephod, and the breastplate, and you shall gird him with the band of the ephod, and you shall put the turban on his head, and you shall set the holy diadem on the turban, and you shall take the anointing oil and pour it over his head, and you shall anoint him. And his sons you shall bring forward, and dress them in tunics, and you shall belt them with sashes, Aaron and his sons, and set headgear on them. And the priesthood shall be for them a perpetual statute. And you shall install Aaron and his sons, and you shall bring forward the bull before the tent of meeting. And Aaron and his sons shall lay their heads on the bull's head, and you shall slaughter the bull before the Lord at the entrance to the tent of meeting. And you shall take of the bull's blood and place it on the horns of the altar with your finger, and all the blood you shall spill upon the base of the altar. And you shall take all the fats that cover the entrails, and the lobe on the silver, and the 2 kidneys of the fat that is on them, and turn them to smoke on the altar. And the bull's flesh, and its hide, and its dung you shall burn in fire outside the camp. It is an offense. And the 1 ram you shall take, and Aaron and his sons shall lay their hands on the ram's head, and you shall slaughter the ram, and take its blood, and throw it upon the altar all around. And the ram you shall cut up by its parts, and wash its entrails and its limbs, and put them on its cut parts and its head. And you shall turn the ram to smoke on the altar. It is burnt offering to the Lord, a pleasing fragrance, a fire offering to the Lord. And you shall take the 2nd ram, and Aaron and his sons shall lay their hands on the ram's head, And you shall slaughter the ram and take of its blood and put it on the right earlobe of Aaron and on the right earlobe of his sons and on their right thumb and on their right big toe. And you shall throw the blood on the altar all around. And you shall take of the blood that is on the altar of the anointing oil and sprinkle them on Aaron and his garments and on his sons' garments and on his face together with them, and he shall be consecrated, he and his garments and his sons' garments together with him. And you shall take from the ram the fat and the broad tail and the fat that covereth the entrails and the lobe on the liver and the 2 kidneys and the fat that is on them and the right thigh, for it is the installation ram, and 1 loaf of bread and 1 cake of bread made with oil and 1 wafer from the basket of flat bread that is before the Lord. And you shall put it all on the palms of Aaron and on the palms of his sons, and elevate it as an elevation offering before the Lord. And you shall take them from their hands and turn them to smoke on the altar, together with a burnt offering as a pleasing fragrance before the Lord. It is a fire offering to the Lord. And you shall take the breast from the installation ram, which is Aaron's, and elevate it as an elevation offering before the Lord, and it shall be your portion. And you shall consecrate the breast of the elevation offering and the thigh of the donation, which were elevated and which were donated from the installation ram, that is Aaron's and that is his sons. And it shall be a perpetual statute for Aaron and for his sons from the Israelites, for it is a donation, and a donation shall it be from the Israelites from their communion sacrifices, their donation to the Lord. And the sacred garments that are Aaron's shall belong to his sons after him, to be anointed in them and to be installed in them. 7 days the priest is in his stead. Among his sons shall wear them, who comes into the tent of meeting to serve in the sanctum. And the installation ram you shall take, and you shall cook its flesh in the sacred place. And Aaron and his sons with him shall eat the ram's flesh and the bread that is in the basket at the entrance of the tent of meeting. And they for whom atonement is made shall eat them, to install them, to consecrate them, and no stranger shall eat them, for they are holy. And if something is left over from the flesh of installation and from the bread until morning, you shall burn what is left in fire. It shall not be eaten, for it is holy. And you shall do those for Aaron and for his sons, and all that I have charged you. 7 days you shall install them. And an offense offering bull you shall prepare for each day, and you shall purge the altar as you atone over it, and you shall anoint it to consecrate it. 7 days you shall atone on the altar and consecrate it, and the altar shall be a holy of holies. Whoever touches it shall be consecrated, and this shall you do on the altar. 2 yearling lambs each day perpetually. The 1 lamb you shall do in the morning, and the other lamb you shall do at twilight. And 1/10 of the massacre of fine flour mixed with 1/4 hin of beaten oil, and 1/4 hin libation of wine for the 1 lamb. And the other lamb you shall do it at twilight, like the morning's grain offering, and its libation you shall do it, as a pleasing fragrance to the Lord, a perpetual burnt offering for your generations, at the entrance to the tent of meeting before the Lord, where I shall meet with you there to speak to you. And I shall meet there with the Israelites, and it shall be consecrated through my glory. And I shall consecrate the tent of meeting and the altar, and Aaron and his sons I shall consecrate to be priests to me. And I shall abide in the midst of the Israelites, and I shall be God to them. And they shall know that I am the Lord their God, who brought them out from the land of Egypt, for me to abide in their midst. I am the Lord their God. Chapter 30. And you shall make an altar for burning incense, acacia wood you shall make it, 1 cubit its length, and 1 cubit its width. It shall be square, and 2 cubits its height. From the same piece its horns. And you shall overlay it with pure gold, its roof and its walls, all around its horn. And you shall make for it a golden molding all around. And 2 golden rings you shall make for it beneath its molding on its two flanks. You shall make on its two opposite sides, and they shall be housings for the poles with which to carry it. And you shall make the poles of acacia wood and overlay them with gold. And you shall set it before the curtain that is near the ark of the covenant, in front of the cover that is over the ark of the covenant, where I shall meet you. And Aaron shall be burned upon in the aromatic incense morning after morning. When he tends the lamps, he shall burn it. And when Aaron lights the lamps at twilight, he shall burn it, a perpetual incense before the Lord for your generations. You shall not offer on it unfit incense, nor burnt offering, nor grain offering, and no libation shall you pour upon it. And Aaron shall atone on its horns once a year with the blood of the offense offering of atonement once a year. He shall atone on it for your generations. It is holy of holies to the Lord. And the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, when you count heads for the Israelites, according to their numbers, every man shall give ransom for his life to the Lord when they are counted, that there be no scourge among them when they are counted. This shall each who undergoes the count give half a shekel by the shekel of the sanctuary, 20 gerahs to the shekel, half a shekel, a donation to the Lord. Whosoever undergoes the count from 20 years old and up shall give the Lord's donation. The rich man shall not give more, and the poor man shall not give less than half a shekel to atone for their lives. And you shall take the atonement money from the Israelites and set it for the service of the tent of the meeting, and it shall be a remembrance for the Israelites before the Lord to atone for their lives. And the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, and you shall make a lawyer of bronze and a stand of bronze for washing, and place it between the tent of meeting and the altar, and place water there. And Aaron and his sons shall wash their hands and their feet from it. When they come into the tent of meeting, they shall wash with water, that they do not die. When they approach the altar to serve, to burn a fire offering to the Lord, and they shall wash their hands and their feet, that they do not die, and it shall be for them a perpetual statute for him and for his seed for their generations. And the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, and you, take you choice spices, 500 weight, wild myrrh, and aromatic cinnamon, half of that, 250 weight, and aromatic cane, 250 weight, and cassia, 500 weight by the shekel of the sanctuary, and olive oil, a hin. And you shall make of it oil for sacred anointing, a perfumer's compound, perfumer's work, sacred anointing oil it shall be. And you shall anoint with it the tent of meeting and its furnishings, and the ark of the covenant, and the table and all its furnishings, and the lampstand and its furnishings, and the altar for incense, and the altar for burnt offering, and all its furnishings, and the laver and its stand. And you shall consecrate them, and they shall be holy of holies. Whoever touches them shall be consecrated. And Aaron and his sons you shall anoint, and you shall consecrate them to be priests to me. And to the Israelites you shall speak, saying, oil for sacred anointing, this shall be to me for your generations. On a person's flesh it shall not be poured, and in its proportions you shall make nothing like it. It is holy. It shall be holy for you. The man who compounds its like and who puts it on an unfit person shall be cut off from his people. And the Lord said to Moses, take you the fragrances, balsam, and onycha, and galbanum fragrances, and clear frankincense, equal part for part it shall be. And you shall make of it incense, a perfume compound, perfumer's work, tincture with salt, pure, sacred. And you shall pound it to fine powder, and place some of it before the ark of the covenant in the tent of meeting, where I shall meet you. Holy of holies it shall be to you. And the incense that you will make in its proportions you shall not make for yourselves. Holy it shall be for you to the Lord. The man who makes its like to smell it shall be cut off from his people.